Are you looking into buying a house? What options do you have? Are you thinking of going into property development as a means of investment for your children and the future? That is a conversation each family should be having, and especially in this day and age. That is why in studio we've got Johnston Mukuha, I beg your pardon, who is Johnston Mukuha, who is a project manager in construction. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you very much.
How are you this morning?
Perfect, and you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, yeah.
How was it waking up at that hour?
Well, an uphill task. Yeah, it is. I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
I was asking, what time did you get yourself here?
Wow. Conversation for another day.
Yeah, good.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But let's start with, of course, most families in this country are housed. We don't want to make the blanket assumption that everyone is in a house, but most of them are housed. And probably the conversation we need to have even before we get to other things is construction procedures. How do you ensure that you get it right when you're constructing a house or when you're looking for a house to have your family?
Thank you. I think the very first thing is once you want to identify, when you have a dream, you identify what you want to do. Mm-hmm. I think the very basic thing is to get the right advice. And in the country as we speak is that things are changing. If you go like a decade or so behind and compare it with the times you are now here, is that a lot of construction is going on. And long time you found very many projects stalled or had cost overruns, or probably did not finish on time, if they ever did. And the industry, as compared to other markets, had to check around what is this procedure people are missing. And ideally, the procedure people are missing is that procedure of getting proper advice from a non-player in the industry. Long time ago, if you wanted probably to build your own house, you went to an architect, which was quite right. And then he was able to probably come up with concepts, send you to a QS to get cost implication, and then maybe to an engineer to look at the structural stability and give you advice on that. But they missed one point here. Who supervises the implementation? Because the architect himself is a player, the engineer is a player. So there arose a need to get what you call construction managers off from the playing of the other teams. That's why our institutions were able to act positively towards this. Our universities have introduced a course now called construction management. And also our institution bodies like Architectural Association of Kenya has come up with a chapter called the project management chapter. So one thing people got it wrong, or we got wrong as a society, which was happening way back in other countries. But out of the problems that people saw, they had to change and come to the right procedures. So ideally, a project manager is that person who you will go to, and he'll advise you on many other things. Among them, how feasible is your project? I mean, what do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? And how do you want to do it? So a project manager, a good one for that matter, will tell you that this is a viable project by first doing what we call a feasibility study. And you are doing it at the right place. Because it is very rampant nowadays, you find somebody doing a residential house in a very, very strategic position for a shopping mall. And you wonder, did this person get proper advice? So once you get to a project manager to give that advice on what best to do where. And then from there, he must direct you to the right teams, the right architects, the right engineers, because these are people you can't do without in the industry. So that after that, then he would assist you coordinate these teams. Because long time ago, one would go to an architect in Upper Hill, a QS in Westlands, a structural engineer somewhere else in the Dennis Street Road. And then by the time you actually get your paperwork right, you're already tired. So a project manager, a good one for that matter, I say again, should be able to coordinate this for you. Put you together, put these teams together, and assist you in all that.
Right.
Yes.
Getting back to my initial question, Mr. Mukuha, you know, for you to get it right, and you've just elaborated the procedure and the importance of each and every one of these people in the supply chain, the construction procedure must be right, regardless of what kind of advice you've sought.
Correct.
Because you're housing people. You know, a family will live there.
Correct.
So how do we go about identifying that the construction procedure was right? Probably following the procedure is one of the ways, if I had the liberty to construct this house personally. But what if I bought an already existing house? How do I verify that the procedures that were followed in the construction of that particular house were right?
Very good. When you are doing any construction, or a reputable team is doing that very good construction, then you must work with the people who are registered in all their categories, say it engineers, architects, and the others. And as you continue doing that, you involve the local government or the county government for this matter. So at every stage, a county government official must come and verify that that's done. And once the product is ready, either for purchase or for rental, it is not right for you to occupy it without what we call an occupation certificate. So an occupation certificate actually is like a certificate telling you that all the procedures were followed in the right way. So occupation certificate gives you a certificate just to let you know that you are in a safe house. So should you not get an occupation certificate, which many people don't even know about, then you cannot tell if all the procedures were followed.
So occupation certificate is one of them.
Correct.
Any other thing I should look out for?
Good project managers would give warranties. Good architects, good engineers, or good developers would give warranties and would take responsibility for any eventuality after you've received your product.
Right.
Yes.
So a warranty of what period of time?
It depends. Others would not give any, but a good and reputable team would give up to 50, 100 years.
50 to 100 years?
Correct.
Okay, 50 to 100 years. That's
Correct.
interesting. Don't you think so?
It is. I mean, but you build for posterity. You don't build for 3 days and then the building comes down. Yeah, so you should give warranties that people can buy from you.
That's true. And you mentioned we build for posterity.
Yes.
I wonder whether in the industry these days we're still building for posterity or we're building for
Well,
the
with
money.
the right approach, you can get it with the right approach.
But moving on to the whole aspect of cost, and my colleague Martin was trying to paint a picture.
Yeah.
But I'm earning, okay, let me not even go to the figures. But
It's okay.
It's
I
a
heard
low
him talk about 20,000 and you want to own a home.
and
that
you
would
want
cost
to own a home.
Yes.
What options do you have in terms of financing your home and not getting yourself neck deep into debt?
I think we have a problem in the country, and to solve such like problems, that we need to tackle some issues differently, like they are done in other countries. One is that we must have a policy change in our banking and mortgage laws, and we must look at mortgage generational and not one time. What I mean is that if, for instance, I want to get mortgage, I'm going to use this house for a long time. And I'll take you back now to where we were saying warranties of 50, 100 years. I'll use this house, my children will use this house, and my grandchildren might even use this house. That's for sure. Some of us live in their grandpa's homes. Therefore, the approach that we have in our banking sector is looking at you as a person and not at the project. So if we were able to make our mortgage generational, such that don't look at my birth certificate and tell me I can actually lend you for only 15 years. Look at what will happen thereafter. Then we can stretch the mortgage. Instead of 25 years, we make it 50 years, 60 years, if not 100. So that if, for heaven's sake, I've left the world, my children are still using it. And when you go to the bank nowadays, or any finance institution going to ask for a collateral, they don't ask you birth certificate as a collateral. They ask for the title deed as their collateral. So that's one thing that can assist us. Because when you spread the payments over a long time, then little earners can be able to pay little amounts over a long period. Eventually it might be expensive, but at times you've done that solution. You've gotten that solution at the onset of being able to live in your house and pay something little. That's one approach. The other thing is that we need to be very innovative in the way we do our construction, because we are used to brick and mortar. And then it becomes very expensive towards the end. We need innovations in terms of people need to come with alternative housing skills, like it is done in other countries. People have prefab, people have shop-produced homes, and they'll just come and fix it for you. This is not very well received in the industry. Many people would not be satisfied until they see people working outside this compound and then doing all the dirty work and mixing concrete and everything. So innovations is one thing that we really need to check, so that we bring our costs of construction.
Isn't it deliberate to kill the position of innovation in real estate? Because then again, if you take away the existing model, where is all the money?
Well, with the times going on now, we are seeing many other players coming in. We are seeing industries coming in. We are seeing steel farms coming up with these products. We have seen very many other cement factories coming up now, not like before. So if this continues and more industries are done locally, then we are able to say, well, we've brought down the cost of construction.
Right.
Because at the end of it, you pay whatever. If you are through a mortgage or through your pocket, you are paying what has been put for you on the ground, which is at this time, I'm saying, very expensive. The third point probably I think that we need to check is stemming the interest rates. Because what happens in our banking sector now is that interest rates are not frozen. I've been paying probably 16%. This should be done entirely frozen. I should not suffer the shilling decline or increase.
As people are suffering now.
Yes, I should not suffer that. So we need to freeze that. I think more of those are factors that we need to check on, so that we can take care of this person who really wants to
own a home. And you know, it's unfortunate because most of them are in the young bracket.
Yeah.
You know, they want a home, but they do not know how to go about it. But as you've rightly put it, Mr. Mukuha, that's an ideal situation. If only we would freeze interest rates, if only we would encourage innovation, if only we would look into how financing is done in terms of real estate and making it a little bit long-term, then probably we would get somewhere. But the situation on the ground is that each and every one of these factors face a complete opposite. There seems to be not much happening when it comes to innovation as far as real estate is concerned. We are fascinated by the design and the interior, which otherwise becomes a cost at the end of the day.
Correct.
Our interest rates are not frozen, right? Yes. The terms of mortgages are not so encouraging. So given the circumstances as they are, Mr. Mukuha, what can I do to own a home with my 20,000, as Mwanje would give as an example?
Very good. I'm not an expert in finance.
Yes.
I'm an expert in construction.
In construction.
But ideally, what one needs to do is actually read the market. Because we've seen, you've heard in the radio, people coming up with even as low-cost house as 1 million. You've heard of Jamii Bora somewhere. There's a gentleman called Ragakuyo Real Estate selling small houses. I think it's just reading the market and knowing where you fit best. But according to me is that groupings, people should group together. And that's what many others have managed to afford homes. Group together and have what you call a collective bargain. Come up with probably a gated community and construct it for your own self at your classes, and you're good to go. But as an individual, it becomes very difficult to move because procedures and interest rates are quite punitive.
Right.
Yeah.
So collective bargain is one of the ways to look
Yes,
into it.
yes.
Also fit into your own hemline.
Exactly.
I mean, if you can't do the millions, like 50 whatever going up, there's still houses that you can afford at the end
There
of the
you
day.
are.
So fit into your hem, and of course, if you would like to do it a little bit or scale it a little bit higher, then look into collective bargaining. Let's talk about construction.
Correct.
Back to construction. Houses going down right, left, and center.
Yeah.
We've seen this in the news recently. And at times we wonder, where were the relevant authorities when these houses were going up? So in case as an individual, I fall victim to a house that has collapsed, what options do I have in terms of seeking litigation and or compensation? How should I go about it?
Thank you. I think you have all options, starting with your advisor and getting hold of him and taking him to court because he misadvised you. But this is like we said before, you need to have followed some procedures, approval procedures, and like I said, local authorities would come and inspect your building periodically as you continue. The options you have to answer your question is for sure if you relied on a project manager who signed with you a performance contract, should be able to compensate you. And among the things that they would do that is through their insurances. Any other person going to do your house or your development must have professional indemnity up to a certain level. If your project is, for argument's sake, 20 million, then I should have professional indemnity for almost 30 million, so that I can take blame when it comes to that. But it takes two to tango. For a building to come down, there's so many procedures were flouted. Either the contractor did not do his job well, and he was not supervised well by the consultants, and the local authority did not supervise the project as they should do. So when you take your project manager to court for compensation, I think the others should follow suit. Yeah.
So compensation and making sure that you get people into the courtroom.
Yes, and of course you must have gotten your paperwork correct from the onset. If you just went and got somebody who is not registered, somebody who probably did not advise you properly.
And let's actually talk about the paperwork.
Yes.
Because most people will tell Kenyans, get the paperwork right. But most often than not, we usually do not get it right. So what kind of paperwork are we talking about? For example,
think we have registration bodies. Like I said, that in the AAK list, you'll have a project managers chapter. If you go to that list, which is available even on website.
Online.
Yeah, online. I mean, you'll be able to probably identify a few who are reputable. Also through referrals. Get referrals, do your proper homework, get referrals, see what projects they have done. Just go further and find out, did that project go on, or was it concluded on time? Did it overrun the budget? Is the quality according to you or according to somebody else? Is it right? So do your homework right, and you'll get the right person. Yeah.
So finally, as we bring this to a close, Mr. Mukuha, what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to identifying a home for yourself?
We put it before, is that you must put yourself in the bracket that you can afford. And that's the very first thing. The other thing is look at the trends, because what we are seeing now in the industry is we are seeing a lot of urban county migration. People want to live in the outskirts, and as the trend goes, we know that there is the metro system that will come. They want to live like people live in other countries, where you only come to the CBD only if you want to, or if you work in the CBD. And you are able probably to leave your car from the outskirts and take a metro and come to work and do the same. So we are seeing a lot of that. And the issue here is to identify yourself with the group and what you want to do. Do you want to live within the CBD or do you want to live outside? But the trend, like I said, there's a lot of migration towards that end. And this comes in with the devolution, that a lot of services have gone back to devolution. So I think when you want to probably identify a project, you just need to, it's a bit personal, but you need to choose a location. And then from there, then you can go up looking around for homes and for reputable developers, for reputable development.
Right.
Yeah.
So that has been Mr. Johnston Mukuha, and he's been bringing us up to speed with what to look out for in terms of real estate development, and especially that point on fitting into your hem is very key. Do not be scared away by the huge figures. You know, there is that product that is tailor-made for you or which you can fit into. It's always prudent to go for that which you can be able to counter. So thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Mukuha. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And of course, thank you so much for keeping it Good Morning Kenya. We take a short break, but the show continues. Keep it right here on KBC Channel 1.